Welcome to our brand new GBO Bodcast. We have an upgraded studio. We have upgraded guests, and most importantly, our formatting is going to change for the better. So we're going to kick off the year right. We are super excited about this entire journey as we've been working to get this on Spotify, on iTunes, and other platforms. So that way, if you are in your car, you can listen, and it's not just a Facebook live stream. It's going to be a multi-dimensional, multi-purpose, different way that you can interact as well as reach different audiences around the world. So, a lot of you have friends and family who are interested in fitness, in bodybuilding, and you want to range on the full spectrum of everything that we're going to touch on for topics. And we have some exciting guests today, but I do want to encourage you guys and give you a few tips on how to get the most out of these podcasts. Number one, the reason why we're running these this way is because a lot of the times, and I'm going to ask you guys all to stick with from beginning to end, because a lot of times some of the gold or the nuggets that we're talking with are going to be in the middle, in the beginning, toward the end. We just never know where somebody's going to say something that's going to resonate with you. And that's why we want to make sure that if you are able to stick with us throughout the entire time, we want to be able to give you that content. And some of it you've got to kind of weed through and navigate through to really fit what works best for you. But we're just excited to have you. We are so looking forward to this year, as I know we threw away essentially last year. We did salvage some really great things, and we learned from them. We're moving on, and we're hitting this full force. So a lot of you know who we have as special guests, and the special guests that we have this year in this show are going to be someone that I think you might recognize. And you're going to see Isaac Johnson kind of batting cleanup for us, and you're going to see Scott Ramsey kicking off with the differences between sponsors and ambassadors and affiliates. Now, in just a few minutes, you might see something breaking, and that's going to be, I don't know. I don't really know how this is going to go yet, but it's going to be, it might even be in between Isaac and Scott. I don't know. But what you're going to see on here, first of all, is you're going to see on the bottom the ticker, where instead of us having you shout out, okay, so what's your Insta? How do you follow us? Well, guess what? We already have that in here for you. And that is going to be going through. So as we are going, feel free and click on the follow for any of these if you have a question. And that's a lot easier. Now, all of the comments that you're going to put on Facebook are going to show up on here as well. That's what I learned from last night that I learned research as we went through. So, Scott, first of all, I want to welcome you. And I know that you and I work very closely. And I just want to, first of all, thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. I appreciate it, man. It's exciting to see this new platform. It's fancy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you will be kicking us off. But really, before we get in, I want to, first of all, just explain what Scott does in not only our organization, but in our industry. And for those of you who don't know, which I think might be one or two of you if you're tuning in, Scott is Showglow Services. So not only does he tan people at shows all across the country, he has that service with Liquid Sun Rays. He also is our GBO Nevada director and has his first show in Nevada. He'll be kicking it off in his state with the Nevada State Championships. And if you know anything about Scott and Lisa, they are very passionate about what they do. You'll see a lot of their posts on social media, Facebook, Instagram as are their main platforms. And they have pro men's bodybuilding and also do have the SPI Fit Expo. So there's a lot of credentials here. Ran one of the best fit expos I've ever seen. That was down in the Rio Grande Valley. And from what I understand, that will be the largest in the Rio Grande Valley in the RGV this year. And you'll cover those dates. But Scott, if you can just touch a little bit, we see athletes. Athletes are always asking, how do I get sponsored? How can I be seen? How can I be visible? And I want to really just get your take, because I think you've seen some athletes who are completely selfish and they're self-absorbed and they think that they're entitled and they've earned it. And those are the guys that are typically getting short-term deals, or companies are walking away from them because they realize their true self. Their resume is built in the industry, but people don't really relate to that or engage in that. So what can you tell us about the difference between sponsorships, affiliates, and ambassadors?
Absolutely. So first of all, thanks for having me on the podcast again. I appreciate it. I'm super excited. I think this is going to get the athletes a lot of different directions, a lot of information to take and to move forward with whatever your dreams and aspirations are going to be, especially if you're looking for that, sponsorship or affiliation. This is going to be some great knowledge for you guys. So first off, I want to apologize. What I did is I actually reached out, and with this assignment, Matthew Storm hit me up. I went above and beyond. I wanted to give you guys more information than just what I've seen in the past, because obviously, what I've experienced, it's going to be what Scott Ramsey, his perception, observations. Of course, that'd be a little bit of biased information. So I did put my information on here, what I've seen in the past, firsthand, what I've seen with corporate entities dealing with athletes when actually receiving that question. How do I get a sponsor? Man, this sport's expensive. So I've injected some of that, but I actually went above and beyond. I actually reached out. I can't say their names. What we did a little trade. I hit up 3 major supplement companies, and I was able to only engage. Sorry, guys, I did my best, but I was able to engage 2 separate sports apparel companies. They're big names, though. These guys are huge corporate entities, multi-million-dollar businesses. Okay, so I got some good information for you guys. I apologize as it seems like I'm reading sometimes from you guys, but a lot of this information came straight from their mouths. A lot of it's quoted information. So I want to make sure I give you guys exactly what they're talking about, because I believe that's going to be the best information for you guys. So let's get started. Social media, it's changed the universe, especially within our industry. It used to be back in the day, and I'm not talking back in my day, 1,000 years ago, or even 10, 15 years ago. The sports changed drastically in just the last few years, and it's all because of social media. Numbers don't lie. Last year alone, I looked at it, Instagram, just in North America, American users, over 140 million people are using just Instagram. So that can tell you, how business shift their directions, how they can better use their money to get more. You're going to hear me say this word a lot, ROI. Return on investment, basically what they're putting out to bring them back more income. And that's ultimately the goal of what they're shooting for. So real fast, social media, here's where you guys step in. This is your role as a social media influencer. There's a lot of slang terms out there, but that's probably the one you're going to see the most, an influencer. So, we talked about IG, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's BodySpace, if you guys weren't aware of that, YouTube, of course, and your very own personal website. So, when we talk about social media, just know there's multiple different avenues for you guys to engage. And ultimately, these big businesses, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for target market saturation. And what I mean by that is if you hit them up, and we're going to get into some more details here, but if you actually engage them and you say, hey, I want to be part of you, they're going to look at the whole person concept. And we're going to get into those details, like I said. But the reason I mentioned all those avenues to engage is you should probably start looking into all those. If you don't have,
I had to do it.
my wife, love you, baby. She's in the other room guarding the dogs, so I can be out here talking to you guys. That was sweet. I love you, sweetie. All right, so, but target market saturation. She threw me off, but target market saturation, be able to gauge not only different platforms, BodySpace, IG, wherever it may be, but also geographic locations. We'll talk about that as well. Are you the athlete? I'm not calling you out, but just ask yourself these things. Are you the athlete that only wants to compete in your backyard? If you are, that's an issue. That's something you need to look at. So. Real fast, and I'm glad I got this assignment because I looked at the sponsorship versus ambassadorship, and it's changed drastically. Again, it all comes down to that social media influence. Sponsorship, back in my day, and just up until a few years ago, corporate businesses, large supplement companies, they were actually paying athletes. You guys probably won't believe this, but they would pick you up as a sponsor, and they would actually pay you an annual salary. Oftentimes, if they didn't do that, they would pick you up as an athlete. They would pay for your registration fees. They would pay for your hotel. They would pay for your flights. Many things that you just, unfortunately, nowadays you don't see these things. So real fast, textbook definition within the industry of sponsorship means that a company provides financial support to the athlete, that's you guys, for training expenses, equipment, travel, or any costs related to competing. And we just mentioned hotel, registration fees, tanning fees, okay, stuff like that. Unfortunately, I tried hard. I can't find many places that are still offering full sponsorships. That's what we call a full sponsorship. So ambassador, and you guys are very familiar with this, that's anybody that can save the corporate entity labor and marketing cost with working through brand ambassadors, and usually provide you guys a discount code. There's different tiers. Almost always they're going to have an amateur tier, a pro tier, and there'll be different levels of benefits there. So initially I was going to talk, and really discuss the difference between sponsorship, ambassadorship. But with the last few years with social media, how it's really affected this industry, the definition of sponsorship's been skewed dramatically. I mean, I can't even put into words, how it used to be versus now. So when we talk about the word sponsorship, I can't just come out right and say there's no such thing as sponsorships anymore, guys, because it's rude. But I found it very difficult to find one place, any company, and I interviewed tons of pros, both GBO, IFBB, here in the States, overseas. I really took this assignment serious, and I engaged as many people as I possibly could. And I was very hard pressed to find any place that was willing to do that old school style sponsorship. So
let me ask you this, because they're few and far between. Sponsorships are very few and far between to have an athlete fully sponsored. When I think about the old days, like Muscle Tech, for example, and Jay Cutler, he was a sponsored athlete by Muscle Tech. You don't find that anymore, especially in a new age. And, one of the things that maybe you can help me out with this, when I put tips, I talked about growing a following. When I was an athlete, I did have one full sponsorship, which they paid me a salary, but they expected what you said was the ROI. It was the return on investment. And what I needed to do was I needed to show up to different shows. I was contracted by them to say, you're going to do X amount of shows every single year. You're going to be at the booth, and you're going to be marketing, networking, and talking to people. And your whole main objective and sole mission is to get folks conversion into dollars for the company. I mean, that's basically what they said.
Absolutely. And you bring up a good point. So that's why I talked about the words being kind of reconstructed these last few years. They still offer that. They still do those programs. It's within their tier ambassador program. And if you make it to the top tier, they call it different things. Somewhere it could be called Colonel or Tier 9 or whatever it is. They all use different, slang words. But at the end of the day, your ultimate goal as an athlete, we're going to cover some things too, like you mentioned. What's your responsibilities and how, and Isaac's going to cover the nuts and bolts as to how to get you there. But absolutely. The ultimate goal as an athlete is to get to that top tier. And, the good old days, they would pay for all that and they would list it in a contract. You would sign it and date it and say, hey, as of this date, Scott Ramsey is 100% property of Bluestone Labs. I'm going to go to 6 different expos. I'm going to attend these different seminars, so on and so forth. And again, that's changed. So the sponsorship word's not there, but yes, they still offer those things. They still demand those things and expect those things. And ultimately, as an athlete, that's going to be your end goal for saturation, because not only are you representing that company, but you got to think about yourselves too. Now you're at a huge expo, whether it's the GBO Mr. Atlas or the, let's say we put a Fit Expo, in Vegas or whatever we decide to do out there in the West Coast. Now you're out there in front of hundreds of people, and now not only are you repping them, but you're repping yourself too. For example, Isaac, he's going to be out there as No Excuse Crew. Now he's repping himself. So Absolutely, man. So it works both ways. And ultimately, that's what a good relationship should pair you guys with. A company that's going to give back as well. Let's just go fast forward. So what I did, I hit these companies. I'm going to go real fast through what they, what are some things to look for, and just a few minutes here. And at the end, I'll close up with, I asked them straight up. I said, give me 5 goes and 5 no's from your perspective. That way, you as the athlete can say, okay, am I on the go with a no situation? So most are self-explanatory, but we're going to cover those. Okay. So real fast. And again, just to re-summarize here, sponsorship versus ambassadorship. Sponsorships they're not so much anymore. They've been rebranded now under an ambassador program. And some people still use that word sponsor. However, the game has changed, and it's all large in part due to social media. And we'll cover that. So basically, what I was told is there's basic business 101. Why would they sponsor somebody and give someone a revenue of $40,000, $50,000 a year, put them in a home when there's millions of athletes knocking at their door, begging for some kind of acknowledgement and some kind of target engagement? So, all right, number one, what some of these companies are going to be looking for? Basically, they're going to be looking for a good character. Number one, you're going to hear me keep going back to it. ROI, return on investment. What can you offer them? Are you good looking? Are you some things you have to do? You have to compete, folks. I talk to all these places, and the bottom of the line, you're going to hear, do I need 50,000 followers? Do I need 1 million followers? No. You do have to have charisma. You have to be a good, genuine human being. What else? You have to be able to compete. Obviously, they want to see you guys on stage because they're going to use your stage photos. Okay. What else here? So,
can I touch on that, Scott?
Absolutely.
One of the things that you said, and I think it's very important, are you good looking? Are you marketable? Are you actually that type of person to where people are going to look at you and say, cool, well, I wonder what they're doing, because in the fitness world, we're all about aesthetics. Let's just face it,
Yeah.
and that marketability is number one. And that's also just one component. The other components, might be, how do they work well with others? They don't want the guy or the girl on the lone island who's taking selfies 4,000 times a day and posting 2,000 times at the same angle, the exact same picture. Thank you. You're welcome, Isaac. And so I know I'm probably gonna start some friction, and that's not my goal. But what I would say is this: it's usually the ones who are taking the most selfies who are the ones who expect the most, and they get the least because companies don't want to have anything to do with those folks. Am I preaching here, Isaac?
Hey, keep going, because you said nothing but truth.
Oh boy, here comes James Mickles. Oh, James, I'm sorry, man. I don't think you're ugly. I think you're a good-looking guy, and I'm just saying that, just from man to man, dude, you are a champion. You have taken first place in a pro GBO show. So, Scott, go ahead.
What's that? Well, yeah, let me piggyback on that, dude. If you guys haven't seen James Mickles pose, man, then you're missing something, man. That's one of the few guys, man. I'll be backstage working hard. I stop what I'm doing, and when I watch his routine, dude. And I gotta be honest, man. Sometimes that guy will bring tears to your eyes, man. He's an amazing dude, man. So you talk about good ambassadors, people that represent well. That's a classic example, man. So thanks for chiming in, James. Good to see you, brother.
Solid dude. Solid.
Yeah. Was that?
No, solid dude, James.
Oh, absolutely, man. So real fast, man, we're going to wrap it up here. I'm just going to cover a couple of things. And again, this is coming from corporate level. Again, I asked them 5 goes, 5 no's. The one thing that kept coming back is some tools for you guys, specifically is engagement rate. You may hear this. If you don't know what your social media engagement rate is, it's very important you look this up. Very simple to do. It's called FLR, followers to like ratio. It's going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but this is the first thing people do if they're looking at you to be an ambassador. And I'll get to that in a minute. But to be an ambassador you just got to write these places, basically, right? If you want to be ambassador for a place, hit them up online, tell them you want to be ambassador, and there's a good chance they're going to pick you up. However, you're going to be at the lowest level tier. They're going to be watching you. So these rules apply not to how to get that ambassadorship, because you can get it right now. All right. These are tools where they're going to be watching you as you grow for them. Okay. So And again, this may hurt some feelings, but this is straight up from their mouths, and that's why I'm reading it. Know your engagement rate, exclamation point. All right. Know your followers to like ratio. We're fully aware as athletes out there that are full of poop. Okay. So engagement rate. How do I get my engagement rate, Scott? Go on there and take your last 3 posts, last 6 posts. A lot of bigger companies, if they're watching you, if they like you, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt. They're going to give you your last 10 or 9 posts. They're going to add up those likes. They're going to average it out. So if they take your last 3 posts, add those 3 up, get the mean average. And let's say you're repping, what the example they gave me straight up. Yeah, let's say you're repping 50,000 followers and you're getting 100 likes with 2 comments. Okay. They can tell immediately. And I've been doing this for a while too. I can look at someone's social media and you can tell immediately what their engagement rate is. Okay. To further break it down, so you know if you are asked that, to get your engagement rate, followers to like. So add up your average mean. That's three posts. Get those get the likes. Get the average mean of those likes, and divide it by your followers. 1 to 3%. That's average engagement. 3 to 5%. That's exceptional expectations. It's hard to see that number. Usually for the top performers, you're going to see about 3%. So, Scott, how do I get my engagement rate? That's your answer. And if you need help, hit me up. I can explain it to you later. I know it's a little awkward there, but hit me up on the side if you need help with that. I can give you your engagement rate. How do I get my engagement rate up? Let's say you've recently got a bunch of followers. What you got to do is go out there and you got to spark some conversation, guys. All right. And this is how you get it up. They follow those algorithms and that affects your engagement rate. So let's say you put a picture of yourself, biceps. You're like, yeah, what's up, Fit Fam? Love you, and you get your boy comes in. He's like, hey, dude, man, looking jacked, bro. Super proud of you. And, the average response. And again, I see this a million times and so do they. So if you just write back and you're like, hey, just trying to keep up with you, bro. And you got the eyes like looking like that. All right. Everyone does that. A better way to get your engagement rate up is to actually invoke conversation within your post. Write back and say, hey, thanks, bro. I really appreciate that. How you been? Or, just basically get the conversation going. And I can tell you now, we've been around now with, you can see people that have been to classes, people that understand this. You'll see them. And there's a guy that's with the GBO. He's in Houston. I won't say his name, but he does an amazing job. And I see specifically what he does sometimes. He'll make a post and he'll be like, hey, everybody, what's your New Year's resolution? And you're like, man, that's so weird. Why is he asking that? But guess what? 90 people respond to that and be like, hey, dude, I'm doing this. I'm going to get smashed in New York. I'm doing this and then that, I'm drinking glutamine and going to bed. What that does is that brings that engagement rate up. Okay. So that's the nice side of it. The realistic side of it is what they're looking at is that straight up, these companies want to know if you're legitimate or you're not. So here's what they had to say. If your bio shows you have 50,000 followers, like I just said, you get 100 likes and 2 comments, red flag. That's an automatic no-go for those people, all right? What they can tell is if your engagement rate is below 1%, you've bought your followers, okay? It's devastating, guys. I know it's very tempting now. You can buy followers. You can buy, Lisa told me today, people, you can buy likes. You can buy comments. Not a good way to go. It's not organic, and it's going to throw everything off. So once you introduce that into your social media mix, your engagement rate will never be organic and it'll never be natural. Now, they're watching, guys. There's actually posts out there. There's websites they go to, and they can see trends within your followers. If there's sharp increases, sharp decreases, they're looking at that. So just be careful. I'll throw it out there for you guys, socialblade.com. I'm just going to say that. You can go there. That's what they're using. They're going to type in your info, and it's going to give you a grade. It's going to give you your engagement rate. All right. That's what they're looking at. So,
hey, Scott, can I ask you a question on that?
Yes.
So I have noticed that there are people with 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 followers. They've taken 2 or 3 years to build that, and they're getting in between 100 to 150, maybe even 200 likes. And what I'm finding is some companies are going to those folks because they'd rather have those person who are going to get return with their audience. That's essentially what that company is looking for. Is they're looking to get in front of that audience. Now you manage 7 Instagram accounts. Is that correct?
Oh, geez. Yeah, right about. Yeah. Yeah.
And, I mean, I do the same thing. And what's interesting is I don't think we have 1 over 3,000, but most of our averages are 50 to 150 likes. And I don't think Instagram is the end all be all. I think it's just one of those tools in the toolbox. I know that, for example, Isaac, if I can have you chime in, what are some of the things that you do social media wise to really keep yourself relevant?
So for me, I think the number one thing is that I'm genuine. So I'm always me. Sometimes I'm a little bit more of a watered down version of me. Whoever has actually met me in person, but I'm just always me. So I try to make sure that my posts are informative, and that's the way that I'm able to get any traction or get any engagement. For example, as an athlete, people want to know, especially on the natural side, okay, how are you able to look a certain way or maintain a certain way without doing blank? And then you're able to talk about your regimen, and then you do just enough to give people something to want to know more without giving away all your secrets and all your tips, and everything like that. So it's always about, like, because Scott touched on it, creating that conversation. So I know I'll use Instagram as an example. When I post, I keep my captions short, because if you do long captions, I promise you people are not reading them. Keep your captions short, 2-3 sentences, unless you want to do a recap or whatever, that's fine. But you keep them captions short and make it say something captivating. It needs to match the picture, because then people will say, hey, what's going on? I won't go too deep, it's not my turn yet, but some of the things that I've done, there's some cool stories behind it. So you want to do just enough to get people to ask the whole tell me more. Yep. That's the goal. Because it's funny, as you guys were talking, I went to go, look at my insights, and it's always double-digit comments. And it's also because I don't post all the time. I make sure that, with the algorithm, strategically posting helps, because then that means if you post all the time, you kind of aren't seen. But if you strategically post, whether it's once a day or every couple of days, and yes, I'm giving you guys some gems here from somebody that does it and it works, you post strategically, your stuff will be seen. It will pop up on the top of people's feeds.
You're right. And Scott, I thought that might have been a perfect segue into your next ones, because I think what we do as, take one step back in the 30,000 foot view, we have that. Isaac's in the middle of it. So what else do you have that you found out from these other companies, the goes and the nos?
Well, yeah, I'll get to those real fast. What's interesting, you chimed in at a great time, man, because it was actually my next point. And James Mickles made a comment on the bottom there, straight, being genuine, that goes a long way nowadays. 1,000%, and you nailed it too. That's my next comment. These guys said, they said straight up, be careful. Basically, don't buy followers. It throws algorithms off. Companies will rather work with positive, genuine, they all said this, upbeat social athletes that they feel will help promote a positive image of their products. Now, you get a salesman out there, slinging things. That's great. But again, being a genuine person, people can immediately tell, man, if you're a genuine human being, if you're a salesman, if you're not a good person, you got bad energy, people will pick up on that, especially these industries. All right. So let me wrap it up, because I've been taking up a lot of time here. Let me just go straight to the nitty gritty. 5 things that, the 5 goes these people are looking for, and obviously a list of no-nos, which are all pretty self-explanatory. So real fast. Number 1, it sounds rude, but straight up, ROI, return on investment. What can you provide that industry? Pair your strengths with what they're looking for. If it's a female, obvious example. Okay. If it's a female, leggings, sport apparel company, guys, you probably don't need to be putting in for that stuff. All right. Pretty horrible example, but it's all I can think of. Body wise, I can't go there. I don't want to offend anybody, but a lot of these companies, if you see their ads and it's all bodybuilders with 26-inch biceps and chains around their necks, and you're, beach body, consider those things. Okay. And likewise, for apparel companies, they're looking for the better looking guys with the abs, where Beachbody would fit into that. So real fast, report return investment, what you can do for them, good people skills. This comes down to being genuine once again. Your charisma. A lot of people think I'm crazy. I've talked to many people. They've asked me what the number one thing they can do as an athlete. If you don't have charisma, if it's not natural, if you feel awkward talking to people, get involved. I said this to many people. It sounds weird, but where am I? Actually take an acting class. All right. Go to a local improv comedy place, and they offer most times free classes, how to get you engaged and how to get you talking, how to get you thinking to where you can spark up a conversation with just about anybody. Acting classes, all those things are going to help you astronomically to help your inner charisma and make you a more approachable person. Number 3, good knowledge of their products. All right. You don't have to know every single ingredient. All right. But, know their stuff, so you can actually, that's pretty self-explanatory. You need to go there. Number 4, active on social media, of course. You got to rep their products, okay? And number 5, the number thing that kept coming up was compete. And they all said, with a caveat, we need you to compete, all right? However, we're not looking for everyone to be Mr. or Miss Alice, okay? Straight up, they're not hung up on the titles. And they all said that. They want you competing, but you don't have to be winning everything, guys, all right? They just want to see you on stage because you're repping what they want to put out there, okay? No-nos, all self-explanatory. Then I can wrap it up and pass it on to Mr. Isaac there. Straight up, just remember, you're an ambassador of their image, their company. If you're out there acting a fool, they're going to cut you off in a second. I did interview an IFBB pro. She's with a very huge reputable supplement company. And again, it's an ambassadorship. They're not really paying her anything, but they're giving her $250 worth of product each month. She said straight up, they'll put you on probation. Okay, you'll go with them, you'll sign with them, and they may send you out to a couple seminars if they like your look and you're a good salesperson. But they're watching everything, guys. They're watching your engagement rate. They're watching, are you posting too much political stuff? All right. Just keep in mind now, once you guys are, the same thing with you get GBO pro status, all right? You're now representation of the GBO organization. You can't be out there saying, all these rallies and so forth. You just got to be very careful with your affiliations, with, your personal beliefs, religious beliefs as well. And of course now, the whole political thing. So just be careful. Know that you don't no longer represent yourself, okay? Be careful with what you say because they're going to watch it and it could cost you your ambassadorship. Again, personal behavior, don't get sloppy drunk, obviously eating unhealthy food. If you're seen on Instagram, you're an ambassador to the program. If you're out there one day saying, hey man, try thermogenics this, it'll get you ripped up. And the next day you're eating like me, you're eating Big Mac, dude. That's, it's not going to look good. Okay. And finally, they expect you, like Matthew said, they expect you to go to places, represent them. So if you're at a trade show, just basic stuff, man. Show up looking sharp. Remember, you represent them, not yourself at that specific time. Be professional. Show up on time. The basic dues of working. So they don't expect much, but they expect you to be on time, looking sharp, looking like an athlete, and pushing their products. Lots of return on their investments.
You hit on a lot of things there, Scott, that I think might go over the heads. And if I can encapsulate a few of those things, that is tremendous because I think as athletes, if you're in an unfamiliar space and you don't know exactly what that space is and what the boundaries are, for example, post-athlete things, but also when you get into other parts of your personal life, that's one of the reasons why professionals are professionals. They know what and what not to post or air out. And that is a huge component of this. And, I think this is important. I think Isaac does a great job of this. And I know that, he does work with a lot of different companies and organizations, which we're going to get to. One of the main reasons why I wanted Isaac on here is because, Scott, you told me specifically, Isaac is a great megaphone for Showglow. And he just naturally talks about it. And there are so many athletes that go to Showglow because Isaac says, go to Showglow. His credibility is there. The big word is credibility with athletes. If you say something, are people going to believe it?
Yes.
And are they going to trust it? And, when I think about third-party endorsements, if let's just say, for example, Isaac wanted to build his brand even more, he can't be building himself all the time. what's going to happen is the third-party endorsement that comes in, if I said, man, I've watched Isaac, I've seen him for years, he's competed in these organizations, he is now a pro in GBO, he has made his way and made his mark based on what he's done, not what he said. That goes a long way. If Jason Oliphant, one of our photographers, gives a photo shoot and, to, let's just say Amy Nowak is out in San Francisco, Amy does an incredible job of third-party endorsement. And here's why. Yeah. Jason Oliphant is always posting pictures of his shoots. And all the athletes, and same thing with Richard Martinez, you go down the list, well, guess what? That is automatic attention and credibility that you didn't have to generate. Maybe you paid for a photo shoot. Maybe it was a free shoot. You never know. Never ask for something for free unless you're willing to give something back. Absolutely. And I love what you just said there. But you also, and what Isaac said is less is more. Make posts interesting. Give them enough just to think, oh, what's next? Or give them just that. Now, ladies, I'm going to offend most of the ladies on here. And so I see the viewership's going up. It'll probably go down as soon as I make this comment. Less is more. If you're posting everything in the full business, guess what? It might get a lot of likes and a lot of engagement, but companies don't see that as professional. And I would just say that it's okay to be classy, to have respect, to have dignity, and to be able to do that the right way. Now, it works for some people, doesn't work for others. I would just say that if it's family friendly, what would the president think? And when I say the president of your organization, I'm not saying any other president. Cool. If they approve of it, rock and roll. But I know our president, Bob Johnson, I know that he wouldn't approve of some of those things. So keep it classy, ladies. And guys, same thing. I saw a couple guys posting some stuff. I'm like, as a dude, I never want to see that. Ever. And anyway, we're making this spicy. We're just going to go ahead and get a little bit out there. We don't have to say everything politically correct. This is our platform. We can be real with people because you know what? It's great to have notes and it's great to have what they said, but we're all thinking it. We know that, right? So, and I would just say network. Be that guy at every show or that girl at every show that's like, man, I really want to talk to them because I really love what they stand for. They're engaging, they're genuine, they're interesting, and they're just good people. They have a good moral compass. They're not looking at an angle or use you for something. They just like your friendship and your company. Man, we went way off base there. But Isaac, I want to bring you in, and Scott, I'm just going to mute you just for a little bit. I appreciate all that information, and you're getting a lot of good feedback from the comments. You'll see the comments kind of coming across, and it's kind of fun to be able to see those things and really seek validation for the things because you're not sure if you're going to offend somebody, so you're highly careful in your verbiage. Thank you for that, Isaac. When we really dig into athletes, you've competed in different organizations, and I wanted to give Isaac a formal introduction because I didn't get the chance to do that earlier. I haven't known Isaac as long as I've known most athletes, but what I did is I paid attention to him as he came up, and there always is a lot of noise. Now, all bad publicity is not good publicity, but I noticed that he is genuinely interested in helping clients, whether it be a transformation or weight loss, whether it be a competitor, or just overall health and wellness and general well-being. Our audience is growing. And what we realize is not everybody who watches our show and tunes in is not a competitor. Maybe they just want to see, maybe they're kind of toe dipping a little bit. Maybe they're a first time that might be thinking about it. There might be a veteran, there might be pros. There might be people who just want general nutrition or training tips. And that's one of the reasons why we have these different topics. So I remember really where Isaac made a difference in my mind was when he said, I'm going to do 2 shows in a day. And I heard that from our GBO Naturals director, Todd Rogers. And I'm like, dude, there's no way he's going to pull that off. And not only did he do it, he ended up placing. And I think you took first place at one show or second place?
Second, yeah.
Second at one show, and I think you took top 5 in the night show that you came into. So that garnered a little bit of interest from me because, a lot of times if something resonates with you, you're going to tune in and say, hey, does that kind of fit or align with what, my kind of thoughts or my kind of thinking tunes into. And, you know, Isaac, how did you get started in competing, and what are some of the things that you've seen in the approaches that, you know, these companies have done for you?
Cool. So real quick, before I go into answer that, I'm a big believer in giving the flowers while people are here. So I can't talk about it and not do it. So for both Scott and Matt, Matt puts on a great show. That's why I do not mind wearing this, the Storm Classic. When I say I had a fantastic time, and I have a lot of people that have a lot of love for it, and it just have to be, that was my favorite show. I had such a great time at that show. Make sure I went and said that to Matt, but just throughout, you know, my short time in bodybuilding, Matt has been, you know, somebody I've been able to talk to about different things, and he really cares about the athletes. Just genuinely, one of the things I say to people, just a great guy. And and anybody that knows me, you know, I do not throw praise around lightly. I don't. And, you know, I mean every word of that. Then Scott, and I'd be remiss if I didn't also bring up Lisa. They are my tanning sponsors and all around great people. Met Lisa, actually, it's almost like around a year ago now, to do some work that I was doing with another organization that I will not name. And, you know, they were I just hit it off with them, and then ever since then it's like we've been like this, and you know Scott and Lisa both have been there for me a lot as well. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, the people that are listening know that, you know, the two other people that I'm sharing the screen with are genuinely good people, and for the people that know me, no, I do not just say that stuff. I'm not one of those kind of people. And then also all my, you know, my teammates, clients, family that are on here that I saw the TNECs pop up. I love y'all and appreciate y'all. So now to answer the question, sorry, I had to get that out of the way. But to answer the question, what got me into bodybuilding, one of my brothers, Uriah, I hope he's on it. He competed. And he kept saying to me, hey, man, you need to compete. You need to compete. Because at this point in time, I got myself back in shape. Don't worry, I won't go through the whole story. I got myself back in shape. I was training people. And at that point, I was kind of just training to just, you know, be in shape and being able to tell my clients, hey, you know, if you work hard, you look like this kind of deal. And then eventually it turned into the whole, I wanted to coach athletes. So I was like, well, I have to do it in order to be able to coach it. So, you know, I did it. And I absolutely fell in love. I mean, I'm crazy enough to do 2 shows in one day. So, you know, I fell in love with competing. And, you know, so you want to go, I was going to how the 2 shows a day thing came out. So I'll go into that. So basically what it was, you know, 2020 threw everything into a tizzy about how people had, you know, schedules lined up. So basically 2 shows have to, you know, shout out the, you know, my friends over at NFF. They made some concessions, and so did everybody at GBO to make it happen, where 2 shows were on the same day on opposite sides of Houston. But I was like, hey, if you guys can do it, I'm willing to, you know, to make it happen. So I went to one. You know, there's a couple people that are on this that were at, you know, the first show, went there, you know, did it. Hightailed up 45, got to the other one. Funny story, Matt was one of the first people I saw, because from running around, I was so hot, I had to go sit outside for 5 minutes because of my temperature, you know, and then went in there. I didn't know if I was coming or going, but I was like, hey, let me get up on stage and, you know, and do this thing. And then, you know, how everything connects. Scott made sure they glazed me up again, had me, you know, looking right on stage. And I did it because I'm one of those people, I want to be remembered, you know, and you don't often have a chance to do something to be remembered. So thankfully I placed, you know, but, you know, it's one of those things where you say, hey, that's the guy that did the 2 shows. Because then again, at Storm, you know, in the live feed, you talked about how, hey, that's the guy that did. So that's something cool to be remembered for, you know. So I want to, you know, be remembered. And that's why, like, you know, with the things that I'm doing, you know, I'm trying to create my own legacy, no pun intended, you know, talk about Legacy Classic. And I really want to be remembered. And obviously want to be remembered, not infamously. I want to be remembered for, you know, for the good things that I did. And I think that helps, you know, to answer the other part of the question, with to gain sponsorships or move up to higher levels of ambassadorships, because when you're out there doing good work, people want to be a part of that. And let's be honest, it's a business. That good work turns into dollars. Point blank, period. If you don't think about or talk about the dollars, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball, and you're gonna watch other people go right by you. what helped me is my background is in corporate sales. So I understand, and then I run my own business. So I understand. Now, obviously, I'm not as as big as one of my sponsors, Aspari, but I understand what they're looking for. Okay, if I give you this, what am I going to get back? How we talk about return on investment. And so the big thing is from one of the big sales principles that I bring over to the sport, I say to the business side of the sport of bodybuilding is with them. Please, if you want to be successful in this, understand with them. That's what's in it for me. If you don't take anything away from what I say, take that away. Understand what with them is. So if there's a company that's going to come, you engage them and say, hey, I want to rep your company, whatever the case may be. Why are they going to choose you? You have 200 followers. You have 2 likes. So if they were to give you a product, who's going to see it? It's the same thing. You can have a bunch of followers, but you only get 10 likes, no comments. Why are they going to give it to you? Who cares what show you've won? They want to know how, if we put some kind of investment to you, what's in it for me? And it's the same thing for us as athletes. I know I don't, and this is one of the things that you guys all know, I say, I will not rep anything that I don't actually use in my life. Let's see. There goes all my spars right there. And all the other things that I have, because of my home office. So what I'm saying is, when you have to understand with them, and it's on both sides. Don't rep a company that you never use their products, you know nothing about their products, and then you're sitting there telling people 20% off, and or this and this, and then when they ask you about it, you're like, don't do that to yourself. So the thing is, like, when I post up, you guys saw the joke about the proven greens. I can actually talk about that because I use it every day. So when we're talking about what's in it for me as the athlete, you have to understand what you're getting and understand how you can move up. Because if you don't, because what's in it for you? There may not be a chance to become sponsored or anything like that. So is it worth it for you? If it is, great. If not, you got to keep moving. But then the other part of it is you have to understand a company, if they're going to give you free product, money, whatever the case may be that they offer to their athletes, why you? What are you doing to stand out from the crowd? Do you have a following? Do you have clients? Do you have people where they can obviously see? You can go to my Instagram right now where you will see people asking me, what is this? How do you use it? Why? All these different things. And you have to create that, you have to understand the with them. Because once you understand the with them, everything else, becomes simple. So, I mean, obviously, I know I'll let Matt ask me some questions and everything, but, that's kind of like, I guess I would say the starting point.
Yeah. No, that's great information. And I think you coming from a sales background is exactly what people need to hear sometimes, because they think, well, because I'm an athlete, because I look better than the average person, I'm thinking companies are going to approach me. And that's not the case. A lot of times what ends up happening is you will catch someone's attention, and we have a breaking alert. This is something that just came through. Yeah, no, breaking alert. Scott's on mute. So, I mean, I heard him. It was loud. But breaking alert from Pro Meals. I'll give you a great example. Pro Meals, as both of you know, and as all of you watching, were one of our sponsors. They were a silver level sponsor at our show on October 20. Oh, man. It seems like forever and a day ago. But what's great about companies that have noticed, I ended up talking to the owner of Pro Meals last night. Now, this is a guy who runs a nationwide meal prep delivery service. If I can even back up even farther, he started selling Cutco. I was a district manager before I ever got into fitness. This was almost 20 years ago at this point. I've known him for 15 years. He worked for me. Very short time. Got some of the skills and immediately implemented that. And this company has been around. They're well established. They're very well known around the country. We ended up doing a partnership together. It ended up getting 500,000 views on Facebook. And it's still climbing, getting close to 1 million. And what I really appreciate about the owner is when we talked, I said, hey, we have a new episode breaking. And we're talking about sponsorships, ambassadorships, and affiliates. So for those of you watching, and Isaac, this is open to you. Scott, this is even open to you. they're not necessarily looking for the right body. They're looking for the right people. And that's where I think a big win can be for those of you who are interested in possibly earning meals for free. So you might know mypromeals.com. If you haven't gone there, I would highly recommend it, because I didn't know I was an affiliate. I just kept telling people about it because I order these meals every single week. And I didn't understand how great it was until they came vacuum sealed, delivered to my doorstep, and I didn't have to go to the store anymore, and I didn't have to meal prep. Now, what Ismail said, he goes, you know what, if you want to mention it, that's fine, that's dandy. And it's real simple. You can fill out an application online. If you're approved, you're going to receive a code. Like mine is Storm, for example, STORM. My sister's like, well, what are you eating now that you're not prepping every single meal? Well, I'm eating pro meals. Oh, cool. Well, I want to try them. I'm like, all right, well, use a discount. You know, they'll give you 10% off. Use Storm. And she's like, okay. To this day, she still orders them. I've had martial artists, you know, where I'm at a school and they're like, well, what do you eat? I'm like, oh, my pro meals. They're like, huh? You mean you don't cook? And so this can be applicable to not only anybody in your fitness world, but I know this. I'd rather eat for free and eat healthy rather than pay and actually waste time cooking. I thought that was really interesting, and that, you know, this came out that just happened to fall in the right timing, and it was breaking because this originally wasn't even in the script. We did about 15 hours of prep for the show this week. This just happened to come up, and I think this is a really great fit for the folks who are approved, because if I can share this, I know he'll probably get mad at me because he's watching. I've received over $1,000 to $1,500 in free meals. And I will just say that I didn't expect that. I just talk about things that I like. And I think, Isaac, you do the same thing. Now, if I can mention this, is the Gaspari search still on? Because after I saw you post it, I saw Derek Richardson become a Gaspari athlete. Kimberly Berry just posted today. Stacy DeChamplain. These are all of some of our pros, beach body pros, and bodybuilding pros. What is your take on this?
So Gaspari has two types of programs. So there's the ambassador program, and then basically what they do is they peel people off of that ambassador program to pull you into the athlete program, which is what happened with me. So it is, as an ambassador, it's typical. You know, you start out, you get a code. You move that code. It's tiered. I will say this: shout out to Big Stu. I don't know if he's watching. He's the head of the program. You know, he's very involved with us. He will help you. But this is why I'll kind of take one step to the side. There are people that knock ambassador programs and things like that. Here's what you got to understand: you have to humble yourself. A lot of people don't want to start out as ambassadors, and they think they're too good for it and all this other stuff. And you know, I've never felt that way. You know what I mean? So I use Gaspari products. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna jump on, you know, and see what happens. See if I can, you know, get on. So I got on with the ambassador program, and then, you know, I have a unique base of who I can actually directly work with. And so what happened? You know, so not only did they see that, my ability to move the product, but they actually saw my visibility. And they say, yeah, no, we're going to move you over to this side. So in talking about the differences, you know, now I get free product, but guess what? I still sell it, talk about it, you know, and, you know, everything like that. So there's the difference between being an ambassador. Basically, an ambassador is like a commission-only salesperson. That's the best way to look at it. And then when you're sponsored, there's different, you know, levels of sponsorship. For example, you know, with Scott and Lisa, my tans are taken care of, you know, which, thank you again, love you guys. You know, but that's different. So they don't actually, you know, hand me money monthly or anything like that. But what the thing is with, you know, talking about that, as much as I do love show love and everything like that, which is the truth, you know, so it's the exchange of, okay, now my job is to make sure that I'm putting Scott and Lisa's company in the best light possible. So posting it, and then something that you had touched on before, Max, I don't know how much time we have, so I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit. I'm able to put my team in position to get on with certain companies in certain places. But I guess one of the things that people wanted to know, like with me coming on, is, you know, what's the difference and how can you go from ambassador to getting sponsored? You know, so here's what it is. You have to be able to show value. You have to be, and you have to have thick skin. So I'm going to give you an example. I told Big Stu I wanted to go from a regular athlete, which, hey, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that aspire to be that, and I'm very, very, humbled to be that. But I want to be an elite athlete. So I used to, I'll see, you know, in the Gaspari posts where they'll send congratulations or good luck to this elite athlete, and I was jealous in the good way, like I want to do that. But the difference is I'm willing to work. I'm willing to humble myself to say, okay, what do I need to do? And they told me what I needed to do. I won't share all of it, but there's a lot of people that won't be able to handle that. If somebody tells you need to fix your social media, you need to post, not necessarily different, but sometimes post more, post less. Like I'll say this, you know, they're like, you need to fix your lighting because we can't use all your pictures. I didn't take offense to it or anything like that. So the thing is to go from an ambassador to get sponsored, you have to be able to move something. You have to be able to move the needle. You have to be able to bring in some kind of something. So I'm gonna give you guys. I don't want to give away too many tips because this is reserved for my team. But you know, I love Matt. I love Scott. So I'm gonna tell you this. Don't just post your code. Swipe, scroll. Again, don't just post your code. Swipe, scroll. That's what happens. Be creative. Talk about why should somebody, get, the product from you? Just because you said it, or is it because you actually use it? It's a big difference. And again, like I always say, it's facts over feelings because I'm telling the truth. The first something I can say, I'm the first ever. Nobody else can say this. Team Gaspari MVP. The reason why is because I follow these principles. It's the same principles I lay out for my team, and people see what's going on with my team and who's getting and put in these different positions and growth. And so that's why I want to really harp to you guys. Don't just throw your code up there. So I'm gonna, and Matt, you just perfect example. He threw his code out there. Just threw it. Just said it. All he did was talk about how great it was, how he uses it in real life, how he has friends that use it. I could right now say, hey, 5 of my people right now talk about Gaspari. I bet you 5 people will say something right now. Watch it happen if they're still on. Same thing with Matt. He was able to use an example from real life. And I know there's a little bit of a delay. So, and I know my pro meals, I see a couple of my clients actually talking about they want it. So I need to get me on that. But long story short, if you are currently, don't be scared to be an ambassador. Don't let those people that try to hate on ambassadors, deter you from it. You got to start there. You see what I'm saying? You have to start somewhere. You have to be humble enough to do the grunt work, because you got to remember something that Scott said earlier in his part. Times have changed. It's not the same anymore. It's not just the Olympia anymore. So before, you could throw Ronnie Coleman or you could throw Jay Cutler or any of these guys on your product and push product and things like that. Social media, there's so much more access to different things and so much more access. Now they're utilizing people. I don't want to say lower level. That's not fair, but they're utilizing people that are now on the ground that are actually out here shaking hands. So instead of having a local salesperson, I'm here in Dallas. So instead of saying, okay, we have a Dallas salesperson, they have me. And I'm the one that's out here spreading the good word and thankfully getting compensated for it. But don't be scared to be an ambassador, because there's a lot of people that will down talk ambassadors. But then what sponsorships do they have? That's what I ask. Like, well, what do you have? You're so great. What do you have? You know what I mean? You have to be humble. I know I'm very outspoken because that's just me. I'm genuine. I'm very outspoken and things like that. But I'm also very humble. You know what I mean? I'm willing to work. I will do the work. And that's what I really have to tell people. You want to become an ambassador, look at the people that are successful. If you're not trying to pattern off of the people, it's the same thing with our sport. Are you going to, and again, if I hurt a feeling, I'm sorry. Are you going to look at the person that can't, that, you know, that's constantly, you know, not placing, or are you going to go to the person that is winning? Who are you going to ask for advice? Who are you going to ask what you're doing in your daily activities? Who are you going to ask? Who's your coach? Who are all these different things? You're going to, well, hopefully you're going to ask that, you know, the person that's, you know, more successful. And the thing that I'll tell you, if you approach people the right way, and I know this from experience, they're going to be more than happy to help you. Because that's my thing. Like I'm more, because, you know, again, some of people say I love to help people, but at the same time, don't treat me like I'm an idiot. If your sole purpose is to try to get some intel, just say that. Don't try to do the, hey, how you doing? You don't care how I'm doing. You want to know how I got from here to there, you know? And that's you know, that's what it comes down to. But, you know, the whole thing is, don't be scared to be an ambassador. That's the biggest thing, because everybody wants to get to sponsorship. And I'm just going to tell you, some of the biggest people you know aren't sponsored the way you think they are. I will promise you that. And when I say big, I'm talking big. I'm talking about in our sport, names that ring bells, you know, and I don't want to give them pub because, you know, I just don't want to. But you know, I'm talking about big names, and you see Scott and Matt are, you know, nodding their head. But once you have to understand, before Matt asked me another question, I was like, get your business right. Understand business. And I will tell you this. This is what I teach my team. Understand your business. When I sign my GBO Pro commitments, I always read through that contract. So I know what is mine and what is property of GBOs. So I'm not surprised by anything. And I sign it and I send it in. But I read it, so I know I know what's going on. I know what's expected of me. So that's the thing. Get your business right. Get your business right, or else you're gonna find yourself, you know, churning through ambassadorships, churning through coaches, churning through different things. You don't want to, you know, start doing that.
Dude, you hit on so many things, Isaac. And first of all, I have to say, number one, nice shirt. Love that hoodie. Oh. Number two, you hit something right on the head. And I'm taking notes as I'm kind of going through this and listening. Qualified experts. There's a big difference between somebody who does something and somebody who is an expert at it and does it for a living. Because you can do things good, or you can do things excellent and professionally. And so one of the things I wrote down is how to make a name for yourself through third-party endorsement, but more importantly, have a plan based on a blueprint of someone who has proven success with it. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And, you know, I wish we had more time. I really do, because I think all of this is just getting so good. We're kind of just getting warmed up. I want to finish with this. Scott, you work with Isaac. I did unmute you. Yes. I want to know really what you what Isaac brought to you before you even approached him, because I know that, you know, and if you feel comfortable sharing the amount of tans that he referred or makeups, because he does have a team of athletes, but I think he wasn't doing that. He was doing that because he truly believes in what you guys do, not only for him, but for our entire organization. So can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And I can actually cite a couple quick references as well to experiences from the past. First and foremost, James Mickles nailed it, man. That G word. Someone that's genuine, someone who appreciates the service, which we all, you know, everyone does. But first and foremost, yeah, you got to have like we talked about, knowledge of the product, someone that's sincere, someone that's genuine. The conversation, it was mostly with my wife, Lisa. But what I call on the fact was it wasn't initiated. The conversation was never initiated on, hey, bro, what can you guys do for me? You know, it was actually a business transaction from my understanding. I hope I'm right here, because he talked to Lisa for the most part. But the transactions, the communication process started with, hey, Scott and Lisa, you know, I'm working on this endeavor. So right away, we knew he's business-minded. You know, he's smart. He knows what he's doing. Hey, you know, let me bounce some things off you. And likewise, we bounce some things off of him. So it wasn't a relationship. Our communication was initiated straight off the bat, which we get a lot. Hey, what can you do for me, man? Dude, I'm, you know, and not to put anybody down, but when we've worked different organization, you know, I can't say it, but a huge show with people you see in magazines, man, people you see with 22 million followers, people you see on calendars. we're approached sometimes from them, and they'll give a very detailed resume. They'll say, hey, I love your services. I love LSR. I've been using you guys for 5 years. I'm competing at the boo this year. Here's an 8.5 by 11 semi-gloss photo of me. I autographed it for you guys. If there's any situations in the future which may lead to any kind of ambassadorship or sponsorship program, I'd love to be informed first. Beautiful. All right, we get that. And then sometimes on this side, we'll get, man, dude, these tans are killing me, bro. Like, it's my third show this year. What can you guys hook me up with, man? And we understand, this sport's a little different. I'm not going to say it's expensive because we all choose to be here. But you make these decisions, you put yourself in that position, but just understand the difference in approach there. And we get it a lot. And it's sad, but we really do, man. We'll get hit up on Instagram. Here's another example. Check this out. We got it a few months ago during COVID. Someone hits us up. Hey, Scott and Lisa, in case you guys are looking to sponsor someone, I'm the man and I'm this and that and blah, blah, blah. Hit me up. So what do I do? Just like I told you guys, I'm going to look at your social media accounts. How many do you have? Where do you compete? Do you compete in just Texas? All right. Because that limits us as a business. I want target engagement. I want to be everywhere. Okay. The number one thing about that story is we learned from this individual, they've never once used LSR product on stage. So here I'm thinking, dude, this guy's straight up asking us for a free 10 and he's never even used the color or our personal service backstage. So again, I kind of went way crazy there, but bottom line, when we engage, like with Isaac, with Kim, we've actually, and I can say the word sponsor with Timmy Pratt in the past, because we have gone that direction with Timmy 2 years ago before he got injured, before COVID. We actually paid for his hotel at the Atlas in 2018. Thank you. So we paid for his hotel room. We gave him a sweatsuit. So I consider that a sponsorship. Okay, we were financially supporting his competition experience. But bottom line, all these relationships, whether it be with Isaac, Timmy, Miss Kim, first and foremost, that G word, the genuine people. We know they enjoy our product. So, if they're stopped backstage, dude, your color looks really nice. Who did your color? Scott and Lisa did. Well, what's the difference? And they can just talk about the product. They're not going to say, oh, it's 12% DHA and it's this and that. They don't need to know that. What we want them to know and to say is just speak with a good heart, be genuine as they all are, and say, hey, Scott and Lisa are good people. They really care about their service. They really care about their product. They're going to take great care of you. And look at this color, man. It's flawless. Yeah. That's it. So,
well, you really just put the bow tie on it. And I would just say that everything that you guys are hitting on is what people needed to hear from what I'm seeing in the comments. And those are things that I think we can pretty much finish it right there. I think we can continue to have an ongoing conversation throughout the year on this because it's so good and it's the most requested topic that, if you guys are willing to come back and listen, and I know that Lisa and Scott are not accepting sponsorships right now or new ambassadorships because they are full, but it would be worth, especially the first half of the season, doing exactly what Isaac and Scott talked about. And here's why. You never know when your time is going to come. And you have to have a long-term vision. And if you think, if it's not going to happen in 6 months, I'm not even going to worry about it, well, that's the wrong attitude. Because the blessings come your way when you do things without expecting anything in return. And I believe that you guys have just nailed this. You hit this right out of the park. Of course, you can see that that Isaac, I'm going to speak for you on this because we're just running a little short on time. The very first pro to get his pro commitments in. Can you just say real quick which shows you're doing for GBO this year?
Storm, Texas Titan, and as soon as the Margaritaville ones are released, I wasn't going to say that, but as soon as that one's released, I'm doing that too. So.
Cool. 3 shows this year, and we're going to look forward to seeing this guy once again on stage. And Scott, I know that you have every weekend from here on out booked. You have 9 different positions. You handle 45,000 things. And I think I have the GBO Nevada Instagram down here, Showglow Services. I don't have the SPI Fit Expo. I apologize for that. But any last word?
Thanks for having me, man. I really hope this is, it's been a little over an hour now, but I really hope this is good information for you guys. And this gives you confidence to move forward and, get those fitness goals you guys are searching. So
cool. Well, I just want to give a quick plug because this is what's coming up. May 29th, 2021, GBO Nevada State Championships. Isaac, I'm sorry I covered your face with the poster. I just don't know why it goes there. So, yes, you do have pro men's standard bodybuilding. You have pro shape. It's going to be at the Plaza Hotel. It's going to be amazing. We're all going. Guy Harding is on the picture. Tyrell is on the picture. Nico Cusack is on the picture. I have a feeling there's going to be some pros that show up that just want to come see this show because it's going to be in Vegas. So keep your calendars open for that. If I can finish up with a couple of last minute, just quick things that just got released yesterday and today. Yes, the Desert Storm Classic is official. It's happening. It will be August 28th of 2021. This will be in Phoenix, Arizona, in Scottsdale at the Talking Stick 4-Diamond Resort and Casino. Some of you guys have been there, and a lot of you guys have been asking, can I just go there to go? Yes, you can, and you can also go there to compete. Also, the Global Open poster is now officially up on the GBO online site. You will be able to see that, as that is a non-professional show. That is how you get your pro card. The Global Invitational is also how you get your pro card, even though all local pro qualifiers will be this year. Jamie was very excited, and David and Marty, that they got to be on the poster, and you'll see that as well. So I won't talk too much about that, but GBO Online is where you're going to see your show schedule. Take a look, map it out, and then talk to the companies and say, this is my plan, this is what I'm doing, and go seek out that company. But like Isaac and Scott said, you need to have a plan to lay out to say, this is what I'll do for you in return. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, that we will have this on live stream, and then we were going to be next broadcast. We're going to be telling you how you can find this on different platforms. We'll hopefully have that figured out. Isaac Johnson, GBO Pro, Scott Ramsey, RamseyEvents.com. Thank you for joining, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we will look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks as we'll be announcing our guest next week on social media. So keep an eye on that. Until then, have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.